Right, hello to this playthrough of Star Trek Adventures. Yeah, I mean, when you're a geek, you might as well embrace it, right? So, Star Trek Adventures is what we're going to be playing, but it is not the usual playthrough that we are going to be going through. We're going to be playing. We've got an adventure. We've got our crew assembled, and we're going to go through each of them in a very brief moment. But we will be stopping every 10 minutes or so to unpack why or what we were doing as a way of showing you if there was anything going through our heads when we were actually doing it or not, basically. Hopefully there was some kind of motivation or some kind of reasoning behind that. And yeah, so for the next 2 hours, we're going to transport you into the year 2371, out into the deepness of space. But before we get there, a brief run through of who's who in the zoo. So I suppose it's only appropriate if we start with the starship. It is the USS Carrington, a Miranda-class ship that is outfitted primarily for scientific and quantitative value collection out at the edges of space. She's not a warship. She's not a civilian transport. She goes out and catalogs all those boring nebula and phenomenon that no one else bothered to explore. That's her job. That's her duty. And as her captain, we have Seth Skorkowsky playing
Uktas Pibak, which according to the internet is a Bajoran name. And I am very, very adamant that I prove myself as a good captain.
On a science vessel tasked with cataloging gaseous anomalies.
Hey, it's an important job.
That it is, Captain. That it is. Running the ship and making sure that it doesn't fall apart, hopefully, is a certain Vulcan played by Janet Forbes.
Yeah, yes, indeed, Captain. My name is Junior Lieutenant Tilara, and yes, everything is under control, Captain. Yes, absolutely. Why is that beeping? No, stop it. Everything is under control, Captain.
Then the one who's actually doing some work, the Chief Science Officer, and someone capable of reading the minds of her companions, perhaps, I don't know, is the Betazoid from Beta Z, played by the wonderful Mháire from Orkenspalter TV. How are you, Mháire? And let's know about your character.
I'm great. I'm very looking forward to playing Star Trek again. And last time I played, I was a Trill. This time makeup was less of a hassle. So yes, Mredaxi Lud from Beta Z is both an empath and a telepath. So she has both talents that she gets, that she can get as a Betazoid. So full on reading minds, thoughts, and well, emotions. And she's also very, very open to sharing her emotions and her thoughts. She's flirty and still, but also a brilliant mind, and both looking for wonders in space and a future spouse on any ship or station they might meet, because traditions and Beta Z, family and things like that are very important. I don't know how long a husband or a wife will last, but I really want one.
Captain, you have met the crew, you have met the ship, you know their mission. And so I invite you now to journey into the great black velvety canvas that is deep outer space. A lone ship far off in the distance slowly makes her way forward at a low warp. And we hear coming out of that ship the voice of the captain.
Commanding officer's log supplemental. We are en route at Warp 6 to the Comus system near the Klingon border. A strange stellar phenomenon has been reported. A nebula appears to have appeared out of nothing at the edge of the system.
Your ship suddenly drops out of warp. It is an emergency stop. Everybody, you need to give me, if you please, a Oh, this is the call I was dreading to make. You need to give me a control and security check, if you please, as the ship violently jumps out of warp.
Ooh.
I actually rolled a 1, so
Nice.
I
So
got
that gives you 2 successes.
2 successes on the one. The other one is a miss.
Fantastic.
But do we need 1 success or 2?
You need 1 success. So you have
Then
1 momentum.
1 momentum on the
Lovely.
back.
Janet, what did you get?
This was something I couldn't find from the book. Is an equal a success or
Yes.
a fail? Okay, so I have 2 successes.
Mháire, I defer to you on this one. You have more experience. Equal is a success.
If it's same or lower, so if you hit the threshold, it's a hit.
In
It's a
that case, I
friendly
have
game.
2 successes.
2 successes. You gain a momentum.
Ooh.
Seth,
1 success.
you do not necessarily die straight away. As the ship drops out of warp, things scatter, inertial dampeners try to kick in, but it was so unexpected. It was literally a safety mechanism within the helm of the ship jumping you out of warp. Now, because it's a small crew, Captain, you're at the helm.
Okay. Status report was the first thing I'm going to ask.
Absolutely. Status report. So, con officer, that would be you.
Scanning the area, Captain.
Give me, if you please, a control plus science, difficulty 1.
Difficulty 1. Oh, yes, no, I did.
We need 1 success.
Oh, that was 1 success.
Nice. On 1 success, this is what your sensors reveal.
Commander, the gravity is coming from the center of the nebula and not from the nebula itself, curiously enough.
Oh, well,
That would account for why the ship
mathematically-
dropped.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
I was a science officer.
Oh, mathematically, that doesn't make difference for how we will behave motion-wise, but that's very interesting. I'd like to take a closer look at the density of this thing. If I may, Captain, or am I needed for anything else?
Well, scanners, or are you wanting to head straight in there?
I'd like to scan from the outside.
Oh,
Is that
absolutely.
what we're
Please
going
scan it.
into?
I just want to make sure you weren't just going to fly us right in there.
No problem.
As you start going through your scanning, and that would be, what are you scanning for specifically?
I would like to look at 2 things. First, I just want a spectrum of what we're looking at. So what matter is actually out there. So what kind of molecules are we looking at? And also I'd like to map the density of the thing. So if we actually
Right.
have something that is collapsing or expanding, or if it has some curious things that might point to more complications. And I'm going to take 1 extra d20 from the momentum that I banked just a moment ago.
Fantastic. All right, so you're going to be doing that scanning. Janet, what is your character doing?
Talara is scanning again. The same thing again.
All right, Talara, you are getting a warning message coming through from engineering well, there is a warning message. Are you going to look at that, or are you going to continue scanning?
I am going to use my momentum to do both.
All right, I will give you that. Sure, you're going to try and do both. That's fine. Captain, what are you doing?
Oh, actually, I'm still doing a status report. So I'm
All right, you're
gonna be
waiting for...
seeing what all is going on the ship, because we filled out, make sure there's no injuries, and make sure
Absolutely.
that my people are good.
Absolutely. So, message coming through from medical. This is your doctor, Dr. Conrad. And the message states that minor injuries sustained across the ship. No critical injuries, but please let's not do that again in a hurry. That's from medical.
Okay.
Engineering is sending you the same message that they are sending to Talara, and that is the message that comes through. So folks, whilst the players are reading that, what I'm doing is I'm sending them text messages as to the results of what is happening, so that I don't tell them what they then have to tell each other. It's just a thing.
That's how Star Trek works, man.
It's how Star Trek works.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to say Lieutenant Talara, it appears the ship is losing power, being drained by an external source.
Yes, Captain. That is also what engineering told me.
Lud, how are those scans doing?
So your scanning of this nebula and its density, I need you to give me, did you succeed your check?
I
Mháire?
succeeded my check very well. I rolled a 1 again, and the other ones, since I guess either insight and science or reason and science,
Yes.
and both are really good. So I've got 4 with 3 dice.
Keep those dice.
Fantastic.
I'm going to keep those
You
dice.
should definitely keep those dice.
Someone's getting crewman of the month.
As you are watching, the sensors are trying to reach out. There is a huge amount of interference that is being generated. All kinds of emissions are coming from this particular nebula. The nebula itself is quite spectacular, as your sensors pointed out. But this is what you detect as you are attempting to work out the density of this nebula.
Captain, I suggest we move, because actually the nebula is changing shape, and it looks a little bit like it's sending a tendril towards us. Well,
I am at the helm.
You are.
it is just a suggestion. We don't know
Beep,
yet what it is
beep,
doing, but this
beep,
is
beep,
very interesting. Also very aesthetically pleasing.
Captain, give me a control and
Calm
check,
yourself, woman.
please.
It's a nebula.
It's an absolutely interesting nebula, and
Sexy
also
nebula.
it's sending out white noise on all over the spectrum. It's going to be a tough nut to crack, but I assure you, Captain, we're going to do it.
I'd like to back the ship up, guy.
Give me a control and ton as you try and pull the ship back.
Oh man, I really only have my learner's permit, so
Yeah, this is your particular shift. It's a Miranda class ship. There's barely enough room on it for a captain's chair, let alone anything else.
that would be 2 failures, no successes.
All right. The reason why there's a failure, as your ship is
Shh,
starting
it's
to
stolen
move back,
momentum.
Talara, you are witnessing this at exactly the same time as Redaxi is seeing it as well. A plasma discharge bursts out of this nebula and slams into the side of the ship. All the lights start dimming, and there's an emergency hail coming through. Engineering to captain. Synchronize,
Yes, engineering.
people.
That's nice jumping.
Wait. This way, that way.
This way, yes. All right, Captain, whatever's hitting us, we're losing power. I don't know if we'll be able to sustain the call for much longer.
Okay, well, let's see. I am going to attempt to rally them to see if we could just get this some power and get the hell out of this sexy nebula that is wanting to hug us.
Apparently. Okay, so give me a presence and command check as you
Oh, I can
attempt
do-
to generate some momentum.
I can do that, I say before I fail. Oh, 3 successes.
2 successes.
Well, it's I got 1 below my command.
Nice.
So I got a
Yes.
3. I have a command of 4, so that's 2 right there, right? And then the other one was below my total of 12, so that would be a 3rd. Right?
There you go. All right, so you start backing up. Well, you rally the troops. What are you saying to them?
We can do it.
Yes, Captain, come again.
Oh my God. I would say, like, like I don't know, focus, get us out of here, and then we will check the damage later. But immediately, this is your job, people.
I can feel the strength of your conviction, Captain.
I know, I am so convicted.
Let's get this done.
Join the Federation, they said. What they said.
Did they lie?
Mredexi, you are your scans return this information as the plasma charge continues to hold on the ship. Captain, you realize as you're trying to move the ship around, that charge is actually keeping the ship exactly where it was. You cannot move.
Oh, so I thought it just had the parking brake on.
Captain,
Yes,
we're
Lieutenant.
having a lot of chatter on the Tatrian bands. Actually, it looks like there are subspace pockets opening and closing. That is what is actually producing the plasma and sending it towards us. I would guess that we might have triggered an instability of some kind, or this might have been a trap of someone very, very cunning. But no, I don't think so. But still, I'd recommend trying to do a tachyon sweep to get a mapping on these subspace pockets.
Do that tachyon sweep.
I said,
Can I hand you the
Talara,
momentum that I
can you
just
give me
built
a
up?
hand?
Indeed, yes, of course, Lieutenant.
Yeah.
So to give her assistance, it
Yes,
is
please assist me.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, please assist me. This is going to be important.
Yes, so it is a reason plus science check. It is a difficulty of 3 to try and figure out what's going on here. So Janet, to give assistance, you roll your check, but you're only rolling 1 die rather than 2. So you're also doing a reason science. That's assuming you are actually assisting our young science officer.
Well, I'm trying to assist, indeed. Yes, I certainly am, but I appear to have forgotten where the console is. And with 17, I'm not entirely sure that I'm still standing on my feet either. They did not prepare us for this at the academy, is all I'm saying. Perhaps a review of the curriculum might be in order, or some such thing.
I'm entirely sure you're completely prepared for this. Just find your center and help me out. We need to do a secondary sweep for high energy particles. Look for 10 electron volts, at least. Do we still have momentum? I think we
You have 2 momentum from the captain.
I'm going to get another momentum
Put
spin.
those up then. Yeah.
That's what his rally was about.
It's there.
So I've got 2 successes and 1 complication. So
All right. And you didn't get the ship. The ship is also going to try and assist because you're using the ship sensors. I completely forgot about the ship's rules. The ship is going to attempt to give you some kind of information. And with the complication, this is what you get back after the sensors have scanned. The lights are now switching to emergency power. Captain, you are watching that console. Warp has just gone offline. This is what your scans have revealed about the nebula.
I'm pretty sure that Talara will back me up, but take a look at this. I'm very sure that this is not a natural phenomenon. The subspace pockets changing polarity so regularly as we're seeing here, I'm pretty sure that this is, as I said, either a trap or some kind of technological thing going right by some species we might not have had contact with before, because I don't recognize this.
Now, I want to know is how we can keep this thing from pulling us into it or hurting us or draining our powers anymore.
Talara, you are noticing the nebula appears to be now slowly engulfing the ship. The tendril held it in place, but it is now starting to actually surround the entire ship.
Captain, perhaps we can send a pulse through our shields to make us look less delicious.
Can we do that? Can we send like a little pulse in our shields?
You can. It will take some time to configure.
I'll get on
Do
that.
that,
then.
Lieutenant. I will direct her to do that using the direct.
There you go. We're going to stop at this moment as this crisis unfolds to unpack what's going on or isn't going on.
What's going on?
So if you have any questions, now is the time. I've got lots of theories in the chat. This is the fun, folks, that you have with Star Trek, where it's all wonderful. And if you have people who really know their Star Trek, they can get really technical, which is brilliant. And if you have people who don't know Star Trek like the backs of their hands, you have to make sure that there's a balance between those that do and those that don't, so that those that don't get lost and those that do don't get ahead. So it's an interesting challenge that one has to balance. Now, I decided to start this off. We've only got 2 hours, so it has to be in the middle of the sequence. It has to start as it is. And I will confess, I didn't start this the way that I wanted to start this. I even have my notes. I have my notes and I read them. I was so mesmerized by the captain's log being read that I said it dropped out of warp and forgot to say something. So I had to improvise to then get us back to where the plan is. But that's okay, because that's what your job is, right? I hope. So if there's any delay, it's because I'm trying to copy and paste text that I have already prepared based on what I think the characters would be doing. But we are journeying into territory where I'm not entirely sure what they're going to be doing. So that's coming from me. Let's start with Seth. How are you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell is going on, and I don't want to be a bad captain. So that's why she's like, turn the shields into a taser. Like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? So yeah, I'm trying to remember how to captain. And I evidently don't know how to take the parking brake off when I try to reverse my ship. It's so embarrassing. It's like when you go through driver's ed and they're watching you and you're just so nervous the whole time. It's like, I could parallel park when there wasn't an instructor next to me, but now that there is, I just wrecked my own ship.
There's so much space in space. You're not going to ram another ship. We're going to be fine.
I hit a nebula. I mean, come on.
Well, to be honest, the nebula is trying to hit on us. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, legit.
You guys, how much it's going to cost to get our ship repainted after this? Well, my insurance. You know how much the insurance on this thing is? Jesus.
You know, it's so good to live in a post-capitalistic society where money is not a problem. So
that's true. That's true. Janet, what's going through your head at the moment?
Me the player or me the character?
You the player.
Me the player. I love Star Trek. I adore Star Trek. This is my very first Star Trek game, but the D20 system is not massively complicated, and I did some reading, and I'm keeping up, so it's good. But I was not prepared for a Mháire. No, I was not. I have a full post-it of jargon here, and Mháire has already said 17 things that were not on it. So as a player, I'm sitting here thinking, crap, I have to have like Treknobabble, the Treknobabble genius over there. But it's actually meshing quite nicely with my character, who is like the most neurotic Vulcan that Star Trek ever accepted into Starfleet Academy. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on with me. And I'm also don't want to be eaten. I don't want to be eaten, guy.
Oh dear, oh dear. So Archara999 says, no, wait a minute, that's the wrong question. There was another question that came through that was appropriate. No, it is. Sorry, I'm misreading here. I'm failing at reading a simple question. One job. Well, no, in this case, I've got 3 jobs, but that's okay. So Achari999 says, how do you prepare Technobabble? No, they didn't even ask that question. Sorry, somebody asked that question. Achari asked another question. How do you prepare to improvise Technobabble? That's how you do it.
Giant post-its.
Yes.
Giant post-its.
Absolutely.
I love Star Trek, and I picked the brain of a friend who is also a big Trekkie, and we sat down and we were like, right, let's just rattle off some jargon in the next 5 minutes. And we were like, okay, we need to rewrite power through the secondary auxiliary EPS units on deck 12. Right, that's going in. And we just sat there and thought through it and prepped just a little bit. And the thing is, I'm not going to be playing another session in this campaign, but when I do, it's going to be easier, right? Like eventually I can throw away the post-it, I can burn the post-it because I won't need it anymore. It's just that prop. So it's literally in front of me on the computer for the first few sessions until you get comfortable with it. It's just having a prop that you can just quickly reference and be like, subspace, impulse engines, warp nacelles. So you have something to say, even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. No, that you're not going to have a Star Trek lawyer at the table being like, well, actually, it's the ventral phases, not the dorsal phases. Nobody cares. It's about making it feel Star Trek-y, and that's just that, like, quick off the action. You can say something, and who knows, maybe it's true.
Yeah, absolutely. I also don't think it's completely necessary. I mean, it's great. So what Achara was actually asking is, do you award momentum for awesome technobabble? And I would say absolutely, yes. So without a doubt, it's so much more immersive. If you're going to be playing a science officer or a medical officer or a this or that, definitely there are benefits to writing it down. Mháire, how are you doing? How are you taking this so far?
I'm enjoying this a lot. I'm so glad I'm not captain. So I can just be a little bit flamboyant and trying. I'm very sorry that I spoke a few times while someone else spoke. This is something that just happens with online gaming. It's but what I'm doing is I'm trying to, whatever I do, I'm trying to keep someone else or get someone else to be part of the action, or in case where Seth was like, how do I try and get these people to rally and to keep things flowing, or to get Janet into working on the scans and things like that. And as for preparing Technobabble, what I usually do when I play a character and I know this is the adventure roughly that we're playing, and you said it's going to be something with a nebula, and we're on a science ship, so I just prepared a few things. And bonus, I'm very interested in astrophysics anyways. So there's a little bit technobabble, general technobabble that I can just drop in. And then the special ones like, what are tachyons, what are tetrayons, how does subspace work as far as it's been shown in any episodes and things like that. And what helps you out a lot is Memory Alpha, which is basically the fan wiki for anything that is alpha canon for Star Trek.
That's it.
You can find anything on there. So I've been reading up on tachyon sweeps and subspace inversions and things like that to prepare for this.
Fantastic.
I'm so happy that it actually comes up. It's like, I've prepared the right thing for this. For this
wonderful.
Study for the test, and they ask the right questions.
Yes. So there's a question here from Steve, which says, Guy, you mentioned you went off plan almost immediately. Can you elaborate without spoiling the story? Yes, I will relive the fact that I completely screwed up my own beginning. It does happen. So what I screwed up on was that the ship was supposed to drop out of warp inside the nebula, but I didn't say inside the nebula. And by the time everyone was scanning and doing their stuff, because I was trying to keep the energy going, I didn't want to slow it down and go, oh, actually, guys, you're in the nebula. So you're outside the nebula. And now the nebula has reached out towards you. I'm not going to say why. I am going to say that all of the fan theories currently in the chat are wrong. Yes, so the whole point was, yes, I made a mistake. I found a solution, which I think has made it more interesting as a result. And it will still tie back. I will be thinking how it ties back in a little bit. But for now, it is what it is. I will link it as we're going along. All right, so
all I'm hearing is it's not my fault that I failed that piloting. I was assisting you, game master. That was not my sucky dice. So
that's exactly right.
All on purpose. That's all I heard.
That's it. That's it.
Sticking to that story forever, guys.
All right, and let's go back onto this small bridge of the Miranda. There are warning lights going off. The lights have already dimmed down to red. The nebula is slowly expanding towards the Miranda. There's another that comes through to you, Captain, and this time it is someone saying, Brody to the captain. Brody to the captain.
Captain here.
Captain, it's the doctor, sir. It's Dr. Conrad.
What What is wrong with Dr. Conrad?
He just collapsed, sir.
Okay, well then I am. So who's talking to me? Who's Brody? Is he like my Wesley?
No, Brody is a lab technician who is responsible for studying space algae.
Oh, okay. Well, he is absolutely useless in this. Then I am going to, since I have a good medical, I am actually going to direct Lieutenant Talora. You have the bridge, and I am going to run to medical.
All right. You leave. You're in and out the doors in the turbo lift. You're on emergency power, so the lifts are going slowly, but it's a Miranda class, so you only have.
It's just a regular lift at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Talara, what are you doing? It is now you and you love choosing these names that I can never pronounce.
Muradaxi.
Muradaxi. Yes. You and Muradaxi are the ones left on the bridge.
So, Lieutenant Ludaxi, permission to send a pulse through. I mean, I'm going to send the pulse through the shields.
Yes, give me a second. Do we have enough energy to spare to try and create anti-tachyons?
Your ship's power level is currently 4. To create an anti-tachyon burst, is that what you were thinking of?
Basically, and
to create an anti-tachyon burst would cost 3 energy. To invert the shield harmonics to create, to invert the shield harmonics is going to cost you 2 energy.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go to warp later, it's going to take 1 energy.
And trying to create a static warp bubble to try and dampen the subspace anomalies?
That is going to take you 3 as well.
What if we vented some warp plasma?
It might interfere with the nebula. It might disrupt the subspace pockets. That's going to take you 2 power.
Those are the suggestions I can make, Acting Captain. Your decision.
Yes, Lieutenant. I think that we should certainly... Lieutenant?
The easiest thing to do would be to reverse the polarity or to remodulate the polarity of our shields and see whether we can get rid of some of the effects of the nebula. I'd probably suggest that as a first step. A static warp shell or anti-tachyons are more like heavy lifting in this case.
What if we tried it with a probe first? To see what effect it might have before we reverse the polarity of the entire ship, and then we don't have enough power to get home, and then I get eaten by a nebula, and then my father was right all along. Lieutenant.
I do not know whether your father was right, but do we have probes that have shield capacities?
I didn't pack.
You have 3 probes that are shielded because you need to send them into the hearts of stars.
Well, the manifest says we do have probes with shield capacity. So should we launch one and try out remodulating the polarity of its shields?
Yes, that is my order. Yes, Lieutenant, yes, exactly. Indeed.
1 second. Lovely idea. Let's see how it works out and whether the launch will
I'm so
work.
glad these trousers are dark colored.
Come again, Captain?
We are in the turbo lift. The turbo lift doors open. You are on the deck that contains the med bay. In front of you, you can see a human officer. You recognize the individual as being the con officer, Benji, a human, rather youthful, exuberant young fellow, but he appears to be sleeping in the corridor.
Is he the gentleman that I just spoke to, the algae guy?
No, that's Brody.
Brody, Benji. My God, they all have the same names on my ship. Okay. Well, first I'm going to suspect him because it wouldn't make any sense that, well, with all this stuff going on, that somebody would just take a nap. So I'm going to reach down and give him a good Kirk slap. It's not a real slap. It's a Kirk slap. It's a medical procedure.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. You give him a slap and
slap.
A Kirk slap. No response. The individual remains sleeping.
Okay, so but he looks like he's sleeping, not dead.
Definitely looks as if he is in deep sleep. Your casual glance, he's actually in REM sleep.
Okay, so his eyeballs are doing the thing. Is there anyone around, like in the passageway or anything?
It's eerily quiet.
Okay, then I'm going to give him a real slap.
For a moment, his eyes open, and he looks at you. Oh, hey, Captain. I just need a few more minutes. Okay?
I am going to order him to get up. We're at an emergency, and he's taking a nap.
Okay.
Full command power at my disposal.
He tries to stand up, but as you are watching him, he is standing and leaning against the wall, and he just can't keep his eyes open. He slumps against the wall, and by the time his ass hits the floor, he's already sleeping again.
Okay. How heavy is Benji looking like this?
He keeps himself in shape. He's probably about 65 kilos. So it's about 130 pounds.
Okay. How far away are we from medical?
Maybe 8 meters.
Okay, so it's just right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to pick Benji up and take him to medical with me. I'm already on that way. And maybe we can.
Not a problem.
I just don't want to abandon this guy in the passageway because that seems like, I don't know, kind of jerky.
You grab Benji, you start dragging him over to the medical bay. It slides open. It's as if you've walked into a cadet barracks. There are humans everywhere sleeping. Just slumped against the medical biobeds. You can see Dr. Conrad is sleeping on the biobed. There are subtle sounds of snoring coming from some of these individuals. There is literally just poor old Brody, blue-skinned Bolian, in the corner holding his Petri dishes. He sees you. Oh, I'm so glad that you're still awake, Captain.
I'm going to ask for status, but also want to check. So what race is he? The blue-skinned guys with the little noodles out of their heads?
No, he's blue-skinned with a ridge down the middle of his body.
Okay.
They can drink acid because their tongues are designed for that, but that's neither here nor there.
Are only humans asleep, or is there any like people like him or of my race or Vulcans?
So as you do a casual glance amongst the individuals, it looks as if it is only humans.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Then I will, first thing I would do is I'm actually going to let my lieutenants know that we have a situation and status, and ask for the status report, as I would like to start doing scanning on my doctor who conveniently put himself on my scanning bed.
The status, Acting Commander Talara, is that your shielded probe is ready for launch.
Lieutenant Naduri, the probe is ready for launch. I'm sending it out. Correct?
That is what we were planning.
Yes, correct.
I've sent the controls over to the captain's chair, so.
To the
captain's chair. You are acting captain, Lieutenant.
Indeed, yes. I indubitably am. Definitely, certainly, that is the case. I stride over to the captain's chair and stand in front of it.
There is an engage button.
I then move around to one side and poke the engage button like that.
Right. There's the subtle pulse, and you watch on the view screen as your shielded probe sails out in front of the Miranda-class ship. Her shields engage. You watch as a plasma tendril starts to arc out towards the shields. Are you going to do anything to those shields, Merdexi?
We are reversing the polarity of the shields.
All
And
right.
if that is not going to do anything, then we are going to run through different modulations of the shield harmonies. Let's see what it does.
As you remodulate the polarity of the probe's shields, the tendril seems to wrap around the shields for a moment, and then it dissipates completely.
Oh, look at that, Acting Captain Talara.
Interesting. Which frequency was that?
Give me just a tick. I have the report for you here. And I hand over a pad. As we know, pads can only ever hold one
Item of information.
item of information.
Yeah, they're like early Nokia phones. It's cool. Interesting. 2,213 hertz. What do you say, Lieutenant Lordy? Lordy?
Lord.
Lord.
I'm, you can call me anything. I'm absolutely fine with it. I'd suggest that we try this with our shields. I'm not sure. Let me do some quick calculations whether we need to change those to account for our difference in mass.
There we go. Give me a reason plus science check, if you please.
Reason plus science. That's a 16.
You need
And I
one
rolled a 5
success.
and a 9, so that's 2.
Fantastic. You gain 1 momentum. Yes, there is a slight variation. You can compute that variation without any difficulty, and it will take 2 power in total from your 4. So absolutely doable. It will take you a few minutes to do that.
All right, Lieutenant Lord, let's put that plan into action.
Well, I'm working on it. Will be done in roughly 2 or 3 minutes, Captain.
Let me assist you from the comms. I glance at the chair and then scurry back to the ops.
All right, you're going back to ops. You're starting to do that. Not a problem. As you guys are working on that, back down into medical.
Okay, well, I would like to, since the good doctor has already put himself on the examination table, I would like to check to see if there is anything in his blood, try to figure out what is causing him to sleep.
All right, give me an insight plus medical, difficulty 2.
Can I use technical expertise to have the ship help me here?
Yes.
Okay, so that will give me a reroll of 1d20. So insight plus medicine?
That's correct.
Okay.
The ship gives you 2 successes. It's
I didn't
insane.
need it. I've got 2 successes myself.
Well,
We've got
there
some momentum.
You do. You bank 2 momentum. Absolutely. 3 momentum, sorry. As you are scanning this individual, this is what you find. The report starts coming through, and immediately it becomes apparent of this. Now, whilst you're reading that, we go back to the bridge as you are ready to invert the shields.
All right, Lieutenant Lord.
We are ready for modulation of our shield frequencies, Acting Captain.
Modulate at will.
Who's
You
will?
modulate the shields, and instantaneously the ship seems to get a little bit lighter as emergency power is no longer being drained. Talara, a quick survey of the ship's systems indicates that whilst the warp core is still offline, all of the power being generated by the impulse engines is now starting to become available. And what that does is it causes your sensors to expand. And as they do so, they detect a Klingon D7 warship.
Where?
Approximately 500 kilometers off the port bow.
I would like to run to the helm and hit the reverse pedal, please.
All right. you are at peace with the Klingons, although this is on the Klingon border, of course. But yes, you can indeed start to reverse. Now, Drexy, you also notice immediately this Klingon vessel, and the vessel appears to be powering up their torpedoes.
They are activating their weapons. Torpedoes have power. Acting Captain?
I guess we should, I mean, we should definitely, certainly, probably hail them.
Red.
I believe that an alert of a scarlet disposition might be called for about now, and I hit the button.
You engage red alert?
Yes.
All right, Captain, you're medical, and you've got this giant chunk of medical data that has come through, and the ship has now gone to red alert.
That's inconvenient. So it looks like my entire human crew is asleep right now. So because it looks like we have got the melanin in the levels of their patients is 10 times the amount expecting. We will have to use neural blockers and risk the damage that those could cause if they have too much due to REM fatigue. But it also looks like alpha waves within the brain are extremely high, which is accounting for this melanin. So I am assuming that there is something going on with this nebula that is increasing our alpha waves. I'm going to go ahead and put these blockers in my doctor, because he can probably handle this after I get him awake, and he can handle everybody else. So I think I'm just cranking him full of some gas station speed and be able to like pass this out among the crew.
Right, you are. Okay, so yes, you administer a small amount of alpha blockers to the brain of Dr. Conrad, and immediately his eyes start to open, but it looks like he hasn't slept in weeks. It's that horrid kind of very drowsy look that you get when you haven't finished sleeping properly. Very groggily, the doctor starts to come around and look at you.
Okay, I don't need to slap him.
One of the cannon there.
There you go.
Make me use this.
Now, on the bridge, give me a control and con check, if you please, dear Talara, as you try to back the ship away from this Klingon D7 cruiser.
Well, now they've fired up their
They're charging weapons. They haven't
phasers.
fired anything.
I feel like we should have a conversation with them.
All right, you want to hail them instead.
Rather than I wanted to reverse because I wanted to get away from the grabby nebula. But now I think it's time to have a chat with our Klingon friends and find out why they're getting all pew pew. Yes, I think that we should open a hail, Lieutenant Murdaxi. Please.
Murdaxi switches over to the comms and opens a general hail.
All right. The
Unknown
ship
Klingon
comes
vessel.
up. Oh, sorry.
Unknown Klingon vessel. This is the USS Carrington. Please respond.
We're going to take a pause there to unpack what's gone on now, as things have progressed, or have they? I don't know. So from a GMing perspective, I have delayed things to make account for other things, because a lot of stuff was happening at once. And there were lots of things going on. The party split up, which was great. Absolutely. I always enjoy that, because it allows you to bounce between groups and that sort of thing. And especially in this kind of situation where the captain really would not have much to do whilst the scientists are doing their sciencey stuff. The benefit that you have when you're watching a Star Trek episode is that the Star Trek actors who are not responsible for doing anything are just off screen having coffee. But that doesn't work so well for players. So yeah, exactly. So it's about trying to balance that. So what I did was, the Klingon ship was supposed to be discovered a lot earlier on in my initial plan, but all that would have done was complicate matters, and it would have possibly have prevented Seth's character from going into medical to then do all of the medical stuff. So by delaying the Klingon ship from being found until the ship's power was restored, it kind of kept that pressure off. The reason why I'd originally included it was because if I had got more character information before we started the game, because I didn't, and that's my fault. I would have known who the medical officer was, and I made a mistake there. So nonetheless, that's why in my original plan, the Klingons were supposed to be earlier. Now they are later, but nothing has changed. There's more information that's going to be coming through in a little bit, but I think so far everything is kind of on plan. Someone was questioning the thought of alpha waves and alpha blockers. Alpha blockers are a wonderful generic medical term that get used for all kinds of things. But alpha waves are part of what the brain produces that causes us to get melatonin. Melatonin is the melatonin, yes, is the pronunciation, melatonin. I had to do a whole bunch of research on what causes sleep to happen. It's really interesting. Anyway, that's not what we're here. So, Seth, what did you think about the melatonin crises?
Well, it reminds me of pretty much several episodes where all of a sudden the whole crew just gets taken out. I am out of red shirts instantly. I have been a captain for all of 5 minutes, and I am completely devoid of red shirts except for one blue guy with a seam down him because of a bad molding. So right now my thought is I want to get my crew functional and then get back to my bridge, because I have a feeling my lieutenant might not really be up for the job at the moment. And so I would like to get my doctor working and then get back to my captain's chair, because it's full of crumbs. That's why she didn't want to sit in it. I know why you didn't want to sit in it. It's filthy.
Janet?
So Seth actually put the junior lieutenant in charge of the bridge rather than the actual lieutenant. So
I did that one wrong.
Highest level officer in charge of the bridge, and she was already freaking out. So now she is losing her.
My note, I just had LT next to you, that I had science officer next to her.
No, I'm a junior lieutenant, and it's probably my first mission, which is why they sent me out here to this like boonies place to do nebula scanning. Yeah, so she kind of freaking out, but there was the logical moment where I was like, let's reverse away from the nebula, which is trying to eat us. And then there was the moment that the Klingons powered up their weapons, and I was like, we only have impulse engines, we are not getting away that fast. So yeah, that's why those tactics changed, because as the situation changed, the character obviously has to pivot, and this is the math you have to do. Can I get away on impulse engines backwards fast enough to not get shot by Klingons? Probably not. Let's have a chat. Bring up the space phone. So yeah, we're about to see what happens when a junior lieutenant talks to some Klingons. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Mháire?
Yeah, I'm still enjoying myself a lot. And it can make sense that the junior lieutenant now has command, because I think the characters on the command track, on my characters on the science track, so Redaxi doesn't have the training to be a commanding officer, so she probably hasn't had the patterns and everything yet. But Redaxi is, I think, good at helping people out, and she's getting a lot of anxiety. Suppressed Vulcan anxiety of Talara, and her instincts just tell her to mellow everything out. That's what I'm trying to do also as a player.
I need a Vulcan cocktail. That's what I need.
Yeah.
There we
because
go.
if you have some characters who are going high emotional and who are doing like the peaks of acting and things like that, then it's very good to have a character that's going to stay a little bit grounded, so the other ones can actually play off this. Because if everyone is just going for the extremes, it's going to just be a spiral that at some point just leaves reality or believable reality. And yeah, I often find myself being the counterpoint to more extreme reactions.
There we go. I mean, that's brilliant. It's an interesting meta balance that one brings through as well, which I think is good. So a question from Hot Wide Gaming is, will we be using the supporting crew or supporting character rules, which is an interesting one that they've got within the 2D20 system, allowing players to play the other characters on the ship. So you're not bound to your own character. So if the captain would just be sitting in the captain's chair waiting for science to give a report, Seth could then go and play Dr. Conrad, for example, and continue doing that. We're not going to be doing that because, well, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't prep them and I didn't expect the medical emergency to be resolved as quickly as it was. So there we go. So we're not going to be doing that. Then another question from Steve is, with split parties like this, do you manage the event so they join up at a point you want or leave it to chance? It's completely orchestrated. This is where I railroad. I don't care what anyone says. We time things. How long does it take for the captain to find the beta blockers or the alpha blockers and administer them to Dr. Conrad? As long as it takes for the science officer to create the probe and to get the probe. I don't like leaving things to chance. I think it's too complicated to keep track of. So that's my honest opinion on that. I think we can sink back in to the ship now, and we are on the bridge. The Klingon ship identifies itself as the IKV Volkadar, which the Starfleet Registry has as a very old D7 class that the Klingons logged, according to the Treaty of Khitomer, as being a supply ship.
It doesn't look like a supply ship, right?
Well, it's a D7, so it does have one central forward photon torpedo launcher. So, but would the Klingons have taken that off of a supply ship? Probably not.
No. That's true.
Even supply ships have to die in battle, you know.
Well, if you're a captain of a supply ship in Klingon society, you're probably not high on the Klingon standing anyway. The screen flickers briefly, and this rather gruff-looking, definitely rotund Klingon glares back at you and states, "Why did you attack us?"
This is Lieutenant Talara of the Carrington. To confirm it, we did not, in fact, attack you, but this nebula is rather dangerous. Have you considered changing your shields to the harmonics 2213?
Redexi, are you trying to sense anything?
If
Or are you being
if
polite?
I am one of the betazoids who can actually sense
Oh,
things just
my
by view
apologies.
screen,
Yes.
I am so going to try and sense whether this Klingon is trying to mess with us or whether he's honest in his belief that we attacked them.
I like it. Give me an insight plus, I would guess, medicine.
That's a 13, and I rolled a 2 and a 7.
Nice. So there you go. Understanding Klingon thinking patterns is unusual. He is uncertain. He is definitely angry. He definitely feels as if he was attacked. But after the suggestion of the lieutenant, he is now uncertain, but not entirely sure what to do next. How should we know that you are not attempting to cause our shields to fail?
Let me send you our sensor records of when the nebula attempted to engulf us.
Sending now.
Someone on his bridge mutters something. He sort of leans back.
You see, Captain of the Volkadar, we are not interested in damaging your vessel. We would very much like to know, however, what is going on with this peculiar nebula.
Why did you send the nebula here in the first place?
I'm sorry, why did we send the nebula here?
It only arrived 4 days ago. From Federation space.
If we had the power to send a nebula, Captain, we would be having a very different conversation right now, perhaps.
Is that a threat?
No, certainly not. I think we'd both be celebrating, don't you?
You would celebrate the destruction of the Klingon Empire? Do what? The screen goes blank. The communication has been cut.
What did you say?
I sense aggression. You... Have you had interspecies cultural studies, Captain? Acting Captain?
I've been through academy training. I know about Klingons, Two Hearts, and some such.
Oh, yes, but are you familiar with theories of communication and how what one intends with a message can be heard as a different message by the recipient? That is what's happened. They heard the words that you spoke in a completely different context as you thought, and what they heard was that you were threatening and boasting with a potential Klingon vessel-destroying weapon that uses weaponized nebulas.
Fascinating.
Absolutely. They're not very helpful at the moment.
Not entirely convenient, no.
Captain, I think I'm fit enough for you to return to the bridge if you need to. I will administer these beta blockers to the rest of the crew. Although, if the effect upon them is anything like me, says Dr. Conrad to you, I would recommend most strenuously against any of them performing active duty, sir. I believe there would be significant impairment of ability.
Okay. I'm also going to instruct him that a few of them we should probably leave asleep in case we need them later, because no need to wake everybody up if we're not going to need all of them. So I will leave that to his judgment. I have a feeling that my junior lieutenant might need me.
Do you walk to the turbo lift or run?
Oh, I run everywhere. Non-stop.
Just run.
Without a shirt.
A brisk Kirk jog.
You only rip the shirt off when you got to face punch an alien. Otherwise, no.
You need like the shoulder strength, right?
That's how you focus and gather the momentum for like that extra die. Is just punch him. It's in the rules.
Turbo lift. You're back on the bridge as the lieutenant finishes schooling the Vulcan in the basics of do not threaten a Klingon.
Okay, so what did I miss? Are we out of the nebula?
We are indeed out of the nebula, Captain. How fortunate. Indeed.
Not actually out of the nebula. You're just no longer being siphoned by the subspace inversions.
We have modulated our shield harmonics to resist the effects of the nebula, Captain.
Excellent.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Now, if it weren't for that pesky Klingon vessel, we'd be fine. Yes, IKV Volkadar. It's over there. I believe I may have angered them, Captain.
It is currently adopting a very offensive posture, and you notice that it doesn't seem to be having any power problems.
Yes, I told them how to fix their shields, which may in hindsight have been an error.
Well,
on the other hand, we know the exact modulation of their shields.
Well,
which means that weapons will be able to punch straight through the shields.
Just punch straight through it, but I don't want to fire on the Klingons. The Klingons are our friends.
I thought, Captain, yes.
But so have we? You told me that you spoke to them.
Yes, we had an exchange.
Okay. Well, then I'll go ahead and hail them. I am the captain of this ship, but we'll see what's going on. Maybe find out, are they running alternating current or what? Why do they have power and we don't? This is...
Talara has mysteriously disappeared behind the OPSCOM. She appears to have dropped something and is looking for it on the floor.
But the rather bulbous shape of the captain appears on the screen again. Okay. Why have you not raised your shields and prepared for battle?
Well, I was going to say, as I am Captain Uktas Peebeck of the USS Carrington, I'm going to ask him what the hostilities are for.
Your lieutenant informed us that this nebula was a weapon designed by the Federation to invade Klingon space, and that this is the first demonstration of the power of that construct.
I deeply apologize. I believe this is a miscommunication. I'm trying to see if
This is a deception. You are buying time. Is there a
I'm going to
fleet
try
en
to see if I
route?
could roll a diplomacy. It's like, what skills do I have?
All right, so that is insight and command, please. I believe it's insight and command.
Can I like Mháire roll? Because she's got much better rolls than me. Let's see. 11 plus 4, 15. I got this.
You
I
got
got
this.
this. I got this. Okay, well, I got a. What did I need?
You said you had a 15. You need
Okay,
two
good. I got.
successes.
Okay, so I got a 14 and a 16. So
You do have a determination point. I don't know if you can spend them after you've rolled, but that would allow you to use it and get a natural 1, which would give you 2 successes.
Or you can spend determination to reroll.
That's
you
true.
can definitely do after.
That you can definitely do. So yes.
then to stick with the rules, I will spend my determination to re-roll that one single die that
That's
was
it.
a jerk and rolled a 16 after I told her I wanted a 15. 19.
Huh.
Ah.
Well.
Ah.
Yeah, I just shouldn't have called it a jerk before I re-rolled it. That was my bad.
That was a mistake.
Can I make an assist at this point, or is it too late now?
No.
You have helped enough.
I feel that
I have.
you're the reason why this is happening. So
You started a war. I leave the bridge for 2 minutes and you started a war.
Captain, what is it that you say to this Klingon that unfortunately will result in him getting even more aggressive?
No. I don't think I can say what just came to mind. Well, I basically, I think what I'm going to say is I'm going to say that he misunderstood. And I believe I'm probably going to be phrasing this in a way it makes it sound like I'm trying to say he's stupid, even though I am.
You not only invade our space, but also you insult me, the captain of the Volkanach.
As a guess, no
be
need to get your panties in
destroyed.
the wad here.
The hail is once again disengaged.
I could have gone better.
Yeah. There is that moment. Captain, are you going to say anything?
What moment?
The
I think I've said
channel
enough.
closes, the D7 with its wings out, the large torpedo tube in the front is glowing red.
Oh, I'm going to say shields up, like now. Damn it. Full forward shields.
All right. Thankfully, you're in red alert, so the shields are up already. The torpedo fires, and that wonderful sparkling light streaks towards the ship.
Oh.
And a plasma siphon
Everybody-
comes out, ratchets around it, and the torpedo vanishes before it gets to the hull.
Oh. Okay.
Quick! Hail the
Yes.
Klingon!
Oh, yes.
I am going to hail him again.
Captain, may I assist you, please?
Please.
All right, so Captain Talara, you are going to try and hail the Klingon ship again. Mredexi, I sense you are doing something else.
Redexi is scanning the hell, or all hells, out of whatever happened there with the torpedo. It seems like this nebula likes to snack high energy things.
Indeed. Okay, so you are going to give me a reason plus science, whilst our two individuals who are trying to convince the Klingons to communicate, you guys are going to give me an insight plus command, please. Not an insight, sorry. You're going to give me a presence plus command check. That's what you're going for. You guys need 3 successes. Whilst science has given you already, let me just check my notes, 1 momentum, because you succeeded by 2. So you get 1 momentum because you only needed 1 to succeed.
Yeah.
This is what you are picking up from your senses, but you guys can give me that roll in the meantime. You got lots, right?
Well, so I scored really good on one. I got a 2 on it. Awesome. And then I got that complication on the other, but that you don't need to pay attention to that. So that's what I got.
That's what you got. Okay.
Talora, how did you do?
I got 1 success.
Good.
And I have a suggestion for you, Captain.
I probably just screwed it up with that complication, but what is your suggestion?
Lieutenant Redaxi reminded me of our cultural studies course at the academy, and I believe that if you pass my behavior off as overzealousness from a junior officer, you may be able to smooth things over with the Klingon captain if you make it clear that I will be disciplined. But it was youthful exuberance.
Okay.
Yes. I will attempt to look
Sad,
how do
ashamed.
you call it? Yes, indeed. Sad, ashamed. Embarrassed, I believe, is the term. I shall attempt to look embarrassed.
Scolded. Okay. So, yes, I'm going to apologize for my junior officer who seems to have been, hold please. Yes, Redaxi.
Do not apologize. Then you show weakness. You should maybe open up with my junior lieutenant who is trying to usurp my station will be punished according to her crimes of trying to goad you into a fight.
That would be a worthy deception.
Yes,
Yeah.
you must not show weakness.
Okay.
It's acting, Captain. It's
Okay.
just putting on a
No.
front.
I don't have to be polite. I'm good. Okay. So, on hold.
The screen opens up again. What is this new Federation weapon?
Well, first I'm going to say that he is fired upon a Federation ship and explain that my junior officer, who is speaking without authority to speak, and she is being reprimanded, that has caused a miscommunication between our ships, but we are trapped inside of a nebula that we were coming to investigate the reason it is here. There is something that has caused it to capture us, and something has happened to your torpedo. We do not know what this is, but the only way that I think that we and our people could survive is to find out what is going on with this nebula so we can escape it. Damn it.
Perhaps what you say is true, but I see no evidence that your junior officer has been suitably disciplined. Why has she not been disemboweled?
The disemboweling will have to wait. Some of our crew is actually incapacitated due to what has occurred within this nebula, and she is more valuable to me alive at the moment. Damn it.
Very well, Captain. For now, we will play along. What is it that you plan on doing?
Well, I would say that the first thing that we found is I'm looking at my science officer like, help.
This is not a natural phenomenon. And we can tell not only by the movement and behavior and the repolarizing subspace bubbles that we have already seen, but also our last scans with a phenomenon that hit your nice greeting, Captain. And she nods towards the view screen. it shows that there's unusual high concentration of tribocarbolic nucleotides, which you of course know are not stable usually in space and are also biological molecules, usually only held stable by alpha waves, which the center of this nebula is emanating. So either this is basically a nebula machine, or it's actually a thing that might even be alive or similar to life. So, Captain, I think we can all agree on the fact that this is nothing the Federation could produce or would.
I can agree to that. I'm going to ask the Klingon captain if he can detect these on his scans as well. And I'll also say if we could share that information with our friends to see if what their scanners detect is the same thing.
We have had limited capacity since we entered this territory. We are operating on emergency power only.
Is your crew fine? Are you having are any of your crew seem to be acting strange?
There was an incident, but it has been handled.
What was this incident?
As he's about to speak, both you, Talara, and Merdexi notice that suddenly all forms of communication are being jammed across the nebula. It's as if the entire nebula is emitting some frequency that is interrupting, some kind of disruption signal.
Captain? There's no frequency that I can find that is not affected by whatever is happening right now.
Is there any other change in the nebula, Lieutenant Redaxi?
Just a tick. Trying to find out whether...
The nebula appears to be contracting.
It is contracting. Its volume is shrinking, but I guess not its mass?
No.
It will, if it's going at this rate, it will let go of us at some point. And also of the Klingon vessel.
Does it seem to be drawing us with her, or is it just retracting?
You're not being pulled along with it.
Okay, that's good. That was my first concern. Then next thing I'll do is I'm going to call down to medical and see the status with the doctor.
I have awoken 6 of the remaining crew. Well, I have awoken 6 of the crew, Captain. We still have 6 down. Again, I reiterate, no one should be assigned any intensive activities.
Okay. Continue monitoring those that are still asleep. Tell me if there's any changes that occurs with them. How is the status of our engines by checking my
Yes,
console?
the chief engineer is awake now.
Oh my God, somebody. They're all sleeping.
Chief Engineer Stewart's.
Chief Engineer Stewart's.
Yeah, the warp core has been drained quite completely. We are trying to reconstitute the dilithium crystals, but it's going to take us quite some time to do it, I'm afraid. And it's mainly because, well, to be perfectly frank with you, sir, it's like working whilst you're in a fog, if you know what I mean. Everything's slow.
Okay. Then can I use my rally ability to pump them up and make them excited to dilute lithium crystals or something? Like it's the greatest thing ever.
You can give me a rally, and hopefully that will mitigate the absolute failure that the chief engineer has just committed.
Okay, well, I'm all like, I believe in you. 2 successes. Nothing.
Nice.
But
That's what you do.
That's what you do.
I'm a motivational speaker who sometimes slaps doctors. That's my entire resume as a captain.
How I learned to command a starship. Slapping. All right, we're going to take another pause there as we step back, and I'll answer some questions. Well, we haven't actually got any questions from those watching, so I assume those watching are either engrossed or have actually also succumbed to the alpha wave inducing whatever of this nebula. So I hope you are still enjoying it. They're engrossed, says Modiphius. Well, yeah, that's good. Where are we in terms of my plan? We are on plan. Something has changed thanks to the interesting diplomatic approach to the situation. So that's good. It's a good change. It's gone on behalf of the players. So that's good. But we are still on track. Everything is still proceeding as I have planned to a large degree. We will see what happens next, because that really will be the conclusion of it in the next, I would say, 20 minutes or so, which is exactly on time for where we should be, hopefully. Seth, how are you feeling now?
I'm enjoying the hell out of this.
Well, that's good.
I don't know what you were saying. I'm having a lot of fun.
And your captain, is he feeling like he's sort of getting back on top of things? His crew's kind of coming back, his ship's coming back?
I feel very confident in the fact that I was able to return to my bridge, and my bridge is now in a better state than it was when I arrived. Because when I arrived, we were being shot at, and now my science officer, who has already gotten Employee of the Month, is I don't know, maybe like a coupon for like a smoothie. I'm not sure, but I'm going to have to give some sort of employee appreciation award because she just saved our butts. What?
Bajoran Jumjastic.
A Bajoran Jumba stick.
Jumja.
Yeah.
I thought it was Jumja.
Jumja?
Okay,
Yeah, Jumja.
I don't want to agree to anything real fast because I'm going to end up getting married to her. So about
It's just a sweet.
Here's a smoothie.
It's just a sweet treat. Nothing dirty.
Yes, it's the Star Trek universe.
I'm like, I don't know. It's just she wants
Okay.
to
Janet, do you think Talara's finding her space?
I mean, I'm living for this game. I love creating characters and having them. So humans don't have a character sheet, right?
Yeah.
Humans try and do stuff that they're bad at all the time. And I love doing that as a player. Like, my character doesn't know that they have a 1 in command. They're going to try and command people. My character doesn't know. I mean, her presence is 7. It's not terrible, but she's not meant to be a diplomatic character. You know, she's an ops officer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm living for this. Talara is deeply ashamed, but the fact she feels a little bit better, the fact that she's managed to claw back like the apology. And she hopes that she's not actually going to be disemboweled, because that's really messy. Just saying.
Mháire, are you enjoying this scientific puzzle?
Yeah. Yes. A lot. It's very Star Trekky, and it's to be honest, the kind of inferring things like this. This might be in kind of an engine or machine in nebula form, or even something alive. It's just, I just pulled it out of my head, basically. But it feels like it's moving in this very Star Trekky way, that we have found something that it's more than it looks at the first glance. And Reduxi is very, very keen on communicating or dissecting, depending on whether it's alive or not, this thing.
I like that. There's a question from Hot Wired Gaming. What talents do the characters have? Because talents make characters feel quite unique.
I'm an empath, I'm a telepath, so two of my talents are simply showing my Bajoran ancestry. Then I have Dauntless, which means that if someone is trying to call me or to impress me in some way, I get 1 extra d20 to resist. And also I'm bold in science. So for bold, you have to choose one of the disciplines. And that means that if I buy extra dice with momentum, I can re-roll one of them.
There we go. There we go. Seth?
Well, I also have Dauntless, which means I don't. I can resist intimidations or threats a little bit. Technical
buddies.
expertise, which is I can get a reroll if I'm assisted by the ship, which is why I was asking when I was down in medical. I have constantly watching, which helps me detect danger. I must be failing the hell out of that. And then I have advisor, which if I'm assisting with command, the person that I'm assisting can do a reroll. I haven't been using that because I've actually been trying to do like rallies and whatnot to build up momentum.
Right.
Because I think momentum in the D20, the 2D20 system, the strategy we've always used is we would have somebody go first that was our momentum battery, so we could build up our momentum pool, and then everybody else who needed to make the important rolls could go with this little pool. So that's why I'm keep trying to like, can I rally them and build that battery so they can make the important roll, because I can't do those well.
There you go. Absolutely. And then Janet?
Yeah,
Talara?
so I have 3 very Vulcan flavored traits. I have Kolina, which is essentially a sort of monastic training. Get this, that's supposed to give you extra mental discipline. Imagine what she was like before that. Yeah, I'm a remedial case. I'm a remedial Vulcan, people. I flunked out of Vulcan school. And then I have Mind Meld and Vulcan Nerve Pinch, which are great next to somebody, not super good over comms. So that's fine. And then I have computer expertise as well, which gives me a few extra bonuses.
There we are. All right, so we know our talents. And let's go back into this universe. The nebula is shrinking at quite a rate, and with it, its effects are going. However, the interference that is being generated has not stopped, which now appears to be blocking all forms of communication, both subspace and normal space communication.
Okay.
Captain, may I scan the area to see what, if anything, has changed with regard to the stimulus of this nebula?
Absolutely, scan. And I would like to, let me go ahead. I just talked about it. Let's see about doing that assist with the advisor. Does that work that way?
The advisor role?
Yeah, the advisor. I've got when assisting with command. Oh, I have to assist her with command. Never mind.
Correct, yes.
I should have given that to her before I left the bridge. Oh, well.
All right, so Talara, you are desperately scanning for what's going on. Redexi, what are you doing?
Redexi is also scanning, but probably something different. Redexi is trying to find repeating patterns or anything of that kind in the signal that is blocking our signals. So to see whether this is just coincidence.
Yes.
Or if there's something that is actually telling us something about the nature of this nebula, or whether there is some engineering or intelligence at work.
Lovely. So then I need Janet to give me a control plus science, and I need Redexi to give me a reason plus engineering, if you please. You both have difficulty 2 in this instance.
Reason
Captain, what are you doing?
Well, then, since they're the ones making the important rolls, let me try one of these dang rallies again to get some momentum going for them.
Sure. All right. You can give me your rally check, which you know that for that is presence in command, I believe.
Presence in command.
Yep.
So that
you had a question, Mháire?
We still have momentum. Usually it goes down between scenes, and I'm not keeping up with whether we still have some. I think we created some in the last scene, but I'm not sure.
You did. I'm going to say you currently have 2 in the bank.
Then I'm going to take 1 for an extra die.
And another 1. So you got 3 in total.
And
Talara, what did you get?
3 successes. I
3.
rolled 1.
Nice. Okay, so
Talara
You're
doesn't
there.
do that dance.
Yeah. Okay, so you are attempting to scan the nebula, and this, unfortunately, I do not have as a text entry for you, so I'm just going to have to tell it to you. The nebula is contracting and will be completely dissipated within 24 minutes. There appears to be a constant gravimetric value at the very center of this nebula, and it is not changing in density at all, as Mháire discovered. However, it is also the source of this interfering subspace jamming signal that is coming from it. The Klingon vessel has changed direction and is now heading under impulse, although albeit only quarter impulse, directly towards this thing. And what your final discovery is that it is a construct. It appears to be made out of an unknown metal alloy.
I relay this information to the captain.
Meanwhile, Mháire, did you get your successes?
You only got one, even with a reroll of bold science. So I'm going to use my value truth is beautiful and spend a determination point to reroll my misses. And now I've got 3.
On 3, you discover that it is actually not subspace interference at all. It is a form of long-range communication, which is so powerful, it is simply overriding everything.
Who are you speaking to? Who are you?
As you follow the signal, it appears to be heading directly towards the Tholian assembly.
Tholians? This, whatever this is trying to talk to the Tholian assembly.
It's unlike any technology I've seen before. Could it be Tholian?
That's a good
Anyone
question.
can give me either a reason plus engineering check. Again, I hate to say it, but I think that's the proper one. If you have the I don't want to say talent. If you have history, then you would benefit greatly from that.
I have history.
All right. Give me your check. Captain, what are you doing?
I am going to next. I want to check, see if any changes have been happening to our crew now that this thing is withdrawing. Are any of them seeming to change? Is there brain waves on the little scanner going up or down or staying consistent? Because I think it's drawing something from them. I want to know if it's fleeing, if that's going away, or if it might be trying to just keep feeding on them.
It certainly seems as if there is a reduction in the alpha wave generation, and as a result, the crew are starting to perk up.
Okay.
Now, Mháire, the Tholians have been known to use very high forms of energy to create these dampening nets, usually. There are reports from the 2360s and 70s of the Tholians building these cages, but this kind of thing seems unusual. Having said that, Tholians are an incredibly unusual species to begin with.
I couldn't say for sure, as the xenophobic nature and their unique way of dealing with construction and technology makes it hard to make an educated guess. But I'd say this is actually not Tholian technology. It's something else that is trying to communicate with the Tholian species or the Tholian assembly as a body of government. That's all I can say at this moment.
I suggest we run the signal through the universal translator, Captain.
I was about to say yes, and see if we can, if we're able to reply on the same frequency. So the two separate things. Can we translate it, and can we respond?
Trying. I'm very glad now that I did this course in linguistics. Give me a moment, Captain.
All right. It's going to take you some time to decipher this entire thing, but it's certainly doable. Talara, what are you doing whilst Mredexi is working on that?
So, to clarify, Merdexi, you are currently translating and also doing what?
Trying to translate this thing, just running it through the subroutines of our universal translator.
We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. That's
I apologize. Out of the office with unstable internet until next Tuesday. No. Okay. Well, I cannot see any external reason why this thing is not working. The Klingon ship is heading straight for the communicator.
And they are powering weapons again.
They're gonna boom it.
well, if we need to be able to communicate. Otherwise, we can't talk to them right now. How can't I'm gonna ask the status again? Redoxy, can we broadcast?
At the moment?
No, they are
No.
still flooding subspace with massive amounts of communication. Captain, this is Chief Officer Stewart, sir.
Yes, Chief Officer.
I've got some power in the warp engines. We want to do a restart, sir. You should have warp power in about 3 minutes.
Excellent.
But don't push the engine, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell him. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Captain, perhaps you can extend the shields of the probe around the telecommunication device.
Is that possible?
The probe is still out there, and provided that it gets there before the Klingons, in theory you could, and provided that the shields might last for a few minutes, considering they're designed to enter the center of a star.
Well, they're your dice. You roll them. I can't roll well, so I say we do it.
All right. It doesn't take a roll to tell the probe what to do, but it does, unfortunately, take a control plus con check from you, please, Talara. Whilst you're doing that, and that's going to be one success that you need, I will need you are trying to use a universal translator, so I would use a insight plus science check, if you please.
Insight plus science, that's 16, and I've got a focus in linguistics.
Lovely.
Which I'm going to invoke for this. So I've got a 1, that's 2, a 6, that's a third one, but it's not below my science, so it's 3.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. You start to decrypt it, and, well, I will share with you this. This is what the message is saying. It's repeating over and over and over again, and it is repeating in Tholian.
I might have to reconsider. Captain, I have a working translation of the signal, and it is a repeating loop of test new disruption and disabling weapon successful in Tholian. So I guess this is Tholian technology.
So they're telling us that their test was successful?
They are telling themselves that the test versus us and the Klingons was successful.
Oh, well, we should
To be clear, they're not telling either of you or the Klingons. They're telling their homeworld.
Yes, they're telling themselves.
Just to be clear.
Okay. And so this is definitely a hostile thing. Can what is our probe doing right now?
What was your check for your control and con?
I got 1 single success.
More than enough. The probe has now completely outstripped the Klingon ship because the probe has its own power and has arrived and extended its shields. But you suspect 2 hits and it will probably be destroyed.
In light of the new information, Captain, what if we were to self-destruct the probe?
That sounds like a brilliant idea, Junior Lieutenant.
Thank you. Commander.
Yeah, because we still cannot communicate with the Klingons, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, then let's nuke this thing, and we'll tell the Klingons later what was going on. And so yeah, self-destruct away.
All right. There's no roll needed to cause the probe to self-destruct.
I've got a very good roll to tell whether there's any chemistry between these two. The taxi is like,
And with that, the probe self-detonates as the Klingons fire their first torpedo at it, causing the entire superstructure to completely vaporize in a giant display of sparklers and fireworks. As it does, that communication immediately stops jamming all frequencies. And for a moment, there is quiet. And then all the lights come on as primary power has been restored to the ship.
Okay. Did it look in any way like that torpedo hit, or did it detonate long before the torpedo hit?
You will need to give me a...
I would like to compliment them on it if it might have looked like they were close. But I don't want to be like, good job. They're like, our torpedo was still 7 kilometers away. Why are you complimenting us? So if it looked like it hit, I'm going to be all like, you guys are so brave. You did so good. Yeah.
Give me a daring plus security check, if you please.
Okay. 13 with security being 3 of that. Oh yeah. I got a 2, so that's
one momentum. That's more than enough.
So yeah,
it does indeed look as if the Klingon torpedo hit us.
I would like to call to check on the status of the Klingons, make sure they're safe, and compliment him on his bravery and an excellent shot.
Much honor has been brought.
Behind the console.
Much honor has been brought to our great alliance. We have defeated an enemy in combat.
Yes, I would also like to share with him the what we discovered with it being, how do you pronounce those people?
Tholian.
The theremins, aren't those little instruments?
Tholian.
The Thulian. I prefer theremin. Tholian. Okay. Anyways, so I am going to tell them that we were subject to a weapons test.
If the Tholians are testing weapons against the Federation and the Klingon Empire, then they are our enemy.
Well, I will make sure that I am going to pass this information to the Federation, and I expect that the Klingons, they will hear from the Federation of your bravery in this, as we will have to join forces against this potential threat and whatever actions they've made.
Now, I look forward to seeing you and your crew in battle, Captain.
I look forward to seeing you as well. And
that's where we're going to end off tonight.
Not after this, I promise I'm going to discipline my...
All right. Thanks, everybody. There we go. The Thulians, as someone said, is the annoying cousins of the Tholians.
Think of them as the tentacle ones, the Cthulians.
The Cthulians. Well, those are the ugly cousins of the Tholians. All right, folks. Thank you all for watching and for staying with us. Thank you to my players. Very quickly, let's go around the board. What was your overall thoughts in terms of the game, but also in terms of the system and the character creation and all that kind of process? Seth, what did you think?
Okay, one, Guy, your Klingon personality is freaking top notch. Like, I would say right now, I would be intimidated to run this game. It's like, well, I can't do a Klingon like anywhere in the same universe as Guy.
You just stick your jaw out and you're fine.
I'm talking about the personality. You're just top notch, sir.
Thanks.
I thought this was fun. I enjoyed this a lot. I wish my dice were friendlier to me, but you know they weren't. Yeah, they've been worse. So I mean, I'll give them that much. But I had a blast.
You had a blast. And the mechanics, how did you find those?
I enjoyed it. I think once I get more used to exactly which talents mean what, and it starts becoming a lot more kind of fluid. 'Cause I kept having to kind of look down and just keep reading this, like, what am I forgetting? So I think with any game, once you get more familiar with it, you don't have to think about, am I remembering this, or am I doing this, or finding out later. It's like, oh, I should have done that. So that's my only complaint, and that's just my own unfamiliarity, because this is my first attempt playing it. So
Right, absolutely. I think for three of us, it's really the first time we've actually played with this final version. I was part of the alpha long ago, but not for a long time since then. Janet, what are your takeaways from this?
Again, it's my very first Star Trek game, so yay, first of all. I really enjoyed it. I mean, what a crew to set sail into the stars with. Holy crap, thank you guys. Yeah, I love the mechanics. I feel like I would need to play a few sessions to really get comfortable with the mechanics and know exactly what on my character sheet was doing which, because there were some moments where I was like, I think I have a focus I could apply, but I'm not sure, and I don't want to slow down the game. And again, because it's a streamed game as well, I didn't want to be like, wait, stop, what am I doing? Which dice am I rolling? So there were definitely moments where I was like, for this case, I will just roll some things. But yeah, no, I love it. I love the idea of the momentum. I love the idea, and there's something in the mechanics that we didn't see today, although it may have been going on behind the scenes, that you can also cause threat. And I think that's such an interesting thing as a GM, to like be able to up the ante, because your players are doing things which are dangerous, which cause threat, which means that you can then throw new stuff in. I think that's really cool. I think the system is really cool. And I can't wait to play more, basically.
There you are. I definitely agree. The threat wasn't really needed. I didn't have to do anything. You guys were doing it all on your own. It was great. But yes, I mean, there were times where the Klingons were failing rolls, and I was like, well, I've got so much threat, it doesn't matter. We can just, they'll pass or they'll fail. Mháire, what is your impression? You've run this game many times.
I've run it several times, and I've been player in a campaign where we used Star Trek Adventures. So I'm pretty used to how the system works. But I can remember when we first started working with this, it was like you have to remember your attributes, your disciplines. Then you have to think about your focuses. Do you want to spend determination? If so, for what? And what value are you going to tie this into? Because you can only use it once per session. And then you also have got momentum to keep track of. And then the game master also has to keep track of threat if you want to use it and things like that. So there's a lot of little things in motion. So it's more like a clockwork with lots of different things ticking along. And once you've identified all these things and how they tie together, it works pretty smoothly. But it's got a little threshold to get in there to remember what different kinds of pools and numbers and things you are working with. And what I really like about it is then you have characters who are very good at that one thing they're doing, and who can push that even further with rerolls and things like that, and then who completely fail at other things. But that is on the one hand, that's absolutely fun, it's realistic. And if you then accidentally score really well with those shitty numbers that you have, it can be really great for a turn in the story. So
yes,
in the campaign that we had, my captain was very talky and she could just convince people of everything, but at some point she actually had to fight, and I was completely down with, this is not going to work out. This is a tiny woman with 0 strength, and she just knocked the Cardassian out with one hit, and it was like and that's so the way the statistics work for the game. They make this possible, but very rarely possible. And with momentum, you can kind of stack the odds. So if you really want to play a scene to be this one big boom moment, you just stack momentum and then you throw it at the one roll that you need to do, and people help and go in there, and then you have the great finale. So I like how that works.
I definitely like that mechanic as well, where, as you say, it's this is the one we need to make, guys. This is the Hail Mary, and then it actually manages to come through. So I really do like that. Yes, from my side, I must admit, I'm still getting used to it, trying to remember the combinations between the attributes and the disciplines is a mind shift. Because I come from a lot of places where it's skills. So do you have the skill starship piloting? Okay, cool, make the roll. Whereas here it's starship piloting. Okay, so you're trying to control the ship. Well, you have to be calm and collected, and then it's a con with that. Or you're trying to fly the ship around plasma storms. You're not going to use control. You're going to use daring. So it's an interesting dynamic that you have to get comfortable with. And again, it's just memorizing those 12 attributes, basically the 12 blocks, and then it makes life flow a lot smoother. I do like the fact, though, that you then get that, because then you have a science officer who's now trying to analyze subspace communication. That's an engineering thing more than a science thing. Finding the subspace bubble, I would say, is science. Finding the encoded message is an engineering thing. I mean, that's my personal interpretation. So yeah, I think it's very interesting.
And as GM, it's the official interpretation, because
right. There is that benefit.
Your call what to
there
use.
Definitely is that benefit. So yeah, I think we've gone over time. So I apologize to the team members. We're over time by 7 minutes at the moment. So not terrible. But we only that was the biggest challenge for me. How do you design something that's remotely interesting that's going to work for an hour-ish? And I think it worked out okay. I was trying a new planning system as well, in terms of layout, which we can talk about later. But anyway, all right, so that's it. Guys, thank you so much for playing. I had an absolute blast, and I won't see any of you tomorrow. But for all of those of you watching, ModCon continues tomorrow on Saturday, and there are some interesting discussions. We look at what's coming up in the 2D20 space, and let me tell you, I may have got a sneak peek, and you really want to see this. You really want to see what's coming out next year. I'm super excited for that, and we've got some live plays of course, Dune. You really don't want to miss that one. That's got some watch Cody and the Dungeon Dudes play through Dune in that live play. And so there's also another Star Trek game, this time run by someone who knows what they're doing. So there is that, yes, to look forward to. And then even more panels as well. So tune in tomorrow, starting the same time as today, for all of that stuff. Big thank you to our folks who are making all of this possible, who are bringing it to us. That, of course, is Steve and Matt behind the scenes. You can't see them, but they're making it all work. So that's it from us for now. I don't hear any of the admins screaming at me. So we're going to sign off. We're going to say good night. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon. Have fun with whatever you're doing for the remainder of your day. And until tomorrow, wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming.